welcome. We just wanted to do a little quick video. We're just kind of taking a ride, Pastor Omar and I, and wanted to talk about what's going on in today's society. So, Pastor Omar?
Yeah, it's a sad day because the whole death of our brother George Floyd, and so that's what we kind of wanted to just kind of talk about a little bit. And so me and First Lady just gonna kind of just have a little discussion on it because it's a terrible situation.
Yeah, and you just kind of wanted to just kind of say just a little bit with George Floyd.
So in case you're not familiar with it, or you're looking at this a few months down the road, George Floyd went into a store and was accused of having a forged $20 bill. That's one story that came out. Another story was that he was trying to cash a $20 check.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it was over $20. The convenience store called the police either because he didn't have the $20 in his account to cash the check, or because the $20 was a forgery. It's going to take a little bit of time for us to get the facts straight, but this is what all the witnesses are saying. But nonetheless, the police came out and they used force to subdue Mr. Floyd. The officer put his knee on the back of the neck of Mr. Floyd, and Mr. Floyd could not breathe. He was crying out that he couldn't breathe, to no avail. The witnesses around were telling the officer to cease and desist. Even people who were witnesses, who were medical workers, and the officer would not relent because of his own hate and whatnot. And so Mr. Floyd passed away under the knee of an oppressor. And so, we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to try my best to talk about it without getting too emotional.
Yeah, and today what disturbed us is President Trump's tweet that he tweeted on Twitter today.
Yeah, you remember what he said?
Yeah, he said something about something about these thugs coming out and looting and whatnot, and he says when the looting starts, the shooting will start. And he talked to the governor of the state, and that they're going to enforce some type of national army, military, or whatnot.
This is when you have a reality TV star as your president instead of a leader, a real leader. Trump is an incendiary leader. He incites violence, and he makes situations worse. And so this whole event, and what's going on in Minneapolis right now, the city is pretty much in an uproar. They burnt down the police precinct. It's riots going on, and not only there, but in Kentucky because of Breonna being shot in her own home.
Yes.
And so it's a mess, man. And I'm gonna tell you, a real leader could quash this, extinguish this fire in a day, if you would handle it with wisdom. But it appears that Mr. Trump is more upset about the property damage than the loss of life. He did not tweet or speak with as much passion for Mr. Floyd losing his life, or any of the other black innocent men and women who lost their lives. He's worried about buildings and products and not about the lives that's being lost. And it seems like our lives just don't matter to white America.
Yeah, and so what is needed, because we're seeing this all the time, week after week, and it's not stopping.
Yeah, and that's the problem that we get into as a black community. We can get upset for a little while and kind of get in an uproar. But unless we have a call to action, this cycle is going to continue, because all our oppressors going to do is wait a few months, we'll forget, and then they'll shoot another innocent black man again. And so we need leadership, but primarily we need unity. You know, we need unity. The Bible tells us that, you know, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And so that's where we find ourselves, so divided, don't have one voice, don't have leadership. You know, with unity and leadership, since our government don't have the leadership to resolve this issue, the black community, the black nation has to unify and seek for leadership to steer us out of these oppressive times.
Yeah, and what's some ideas for unity? Yeah,
well, what needs to happen is that black leaders from all over the nation need to begin to convene. It's no different than when America was having trouble with Great Britain. They began to call congresses and conventions. And so this is what we need to do as a people. I'm believing that every city has people in it that care about the black plight. And so every city must gather its leaders together and sit down and have a talk. And after that talk, the leaders need to send delegates to a state convention where those delegates gather and they represent the black leadership of every state. After those states convene, the states need to choose delegates and send those delegates from the cities, from the states, to a national convention, a Congress. You know what I'm saying? So we can meet together and decide together what needs to be done to stop the oppression, and not just the police brutality, but we can deal with other issues that are dear to blacks. And when I say blacks, I'm not trying to alienate our other brothers of color who are experiencing the same level of oppression, racism, and brutality, because after we unify, we're going to be able to call for our Latino brothers and sisters. We're going to be able to call for our Native American brothers and sisters. And that is going to allow us to be even more powerful to affect change. So once the city sends delegates, the state sends delegates, we have a national convention, a Congress, where we develop a platform, a call to action so the people can be one. And when that vision is given, because listen, without a vision, the people perish. There's no vision for our nation. When we give that vision, then we put the Congress in reverse. We go from a national Congress back to state, back to city, all disseminating the information that our national leaders have suggested. And we will have honorary delegates that can come. Yeah. People of substance, people with public platforms. You know, LeBron James come to mind, and people who love our people. No, you don't have to be delegated. You already delegated by your gifts and your talents. And so we bring all of those people, you know what I'm saying, and people of substance who really want to do something for our plight, you know?
Yeah, because if we had this unity and not divided on every single thing, what would Trump do if we had this type of unity?
Well, Trump would have to acquiesce. He would have to acquiesce. He would have to meet with our leader. You know what I'm saying? And that's what needs to happen. And I'm telling you, this is not a hard fix with unity. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because the people of Black America, of Latino America, of Native America, amen, we represent such a great force in this country, but not apart, only together. Together. You know?
And it was the dangers if we do not get together, you know?
Well, the dangers if we don't get together are that this thing continues to happen. That's number one. It just continues to happen, and we never really effectuate change. And so over and over again, we go through this national mourning, this anger, this depression of what's actually happening to our innocent brothers and sisters that's out there. And if we continue to go through this, our people may react the wrong way.
Okay.
They may react the wrong way. And the wrong way could be, not just destroying property, but like we saw in Dallas a few years ago and in Baton Rouge, they may begin to want to do eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. And, there is a better way than that.
Yeah.
Initially, if we have a plan, it don't take all that to change America.
Yeah.
If you have vision, you know what I'm saying? And I want to share with you what could be some ideas on what we can do when we meet.
Okay.
To just change this cycle of lynching and terror that's being invoked upon our people. 3 things we can do. We're gonna have to challenge America economically, politically, and spiritually.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna stop right there. And if you have any questions about any of those,
So how can we do this economically? Because we know that's what they understand.
Yeah, if you watch them get upset over Target and over buildings, we know what touches them. It's not our lives, it's not our tears, so it's the money that touches them. And so we need to implement something like the Palestinians are doing in occupied Israel. And so what they're doing is BDS. They're boycotting disinvestment, and they're also doing sanctions. And we need to do the same thing. We need to take black dollars and disinvest in white America. And what that looks like is every opportunity we have to do black, Latino, or Native American business, we do that instead of white business. And it's not that we don't have good white people who stand with us, because if you watch the marches, they're out there as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They cut up as well because they see the injustice.
Yeah.
Now, when you find a business or a white person who understands our cause, then you continue to do business with them. The boycott is boycotting businesses and entities and states and governments who don't see our cause, who turn a blind eye to injustice. That we gonna turn economically. You will not enjoy the trillions of dollars that come out of the black, Latino, and Native American community. The same way they put that knee on the neck of George Floyd, we will economically put our knee on your neck until you relent of this unjust war you have against black men. And so what that looks like is we come out of your banks, we come out of your churches, we come out of your schools, we come out of doing business at your restaurants. We stop getting you to cut our grass, we stop getting you to clean our offices, we stop getting you to supply our clothing, our hair, our lashes. We just stop that. We do business with everybody but you. We call China to supplement our computer needs, our phone needs, our everything. We disinvest in white America, and that can be done very simply, very easily, if we all want.
Wow. And so your next point, besides economically, I remember spiritually. How does that look spiritually?
Yeah. Well, spiritually, we call on God. The Bible talks about in Egypt, when we got tired of the taskmasters. And you might not agree with my spiritual interpretations of the scriptures that the Hebrews were of wool hair and feet like bronze. And you might not agree just yet that we are those people, but he says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray, turn from their wicked ways, and seek my face, then I'm going to hear from heaven and heal their land. Now, regardless of whether you think that you are Israel or not, which you are the people of God. You believe his gospel. And so, qualifying on that alone, we need to call out as a nation with groanings and sighings. And if you have not prayed, this is what you say to God. We call him Yahweh, his original Hebrew name. Just say this, say, God, we are hurting, and we have no one but you to look to. Maintain our cause. Ask God to remember George Floyd and Aubrey, you see, and Sterling and Philando Castile. Begin to call their names out to him, you see, and ask him to effectuate change. This is how we do spiritually. The Bible tells us that God, the God that hears prayer, will answer us. You know? So we deal with it economically, we deal with it spiritually, and then of course we deal with it politically.
How do we take care of this politically? What do we do?
Well, we come to the revelation that Democrat and Republican are pretty much really the same thing.
Yes, sir.
And at the end of the day, no matter who you vote for, nothing changes.
Yes, sir.
They're just different sides of the same coin. We just flipping a coin on election day. But we're not getting a new coin. It's just heads or tails.
Wow.
And so the brutality has not stopped. The economic and the, you know, all the problems that we have is not changing. I was watching one interview, and the interviewer, she was saying the same way they lynched them back then,
wow,
they lynching them right now. And so what we need to do, we need to come out of their political parties, and we need to go ahead and launch a political party for the so-called African Americans, the Latinos, and the Native Americans. Develop our own political platform that'll have in it elements of social justice, environmental justice, and really
economic
equality, really just helping the downtrodden, a party that has the heart of God, you know. We develop a name for it. We get all of our people into it on one accord. We run a president. You know, we find somebody, maybe an old politician who done gave up. I got a few in my mind right now that done left Republican parties and Democratic parties, and we get them and we say, listen, we're gonna run you. It doesn't matter if we win or not. That's not the issue. Winning is not the issue. Realize that the Libertarian Party and also the Green Party, they only have a few 100,000 members. We have millions of black people. We have millions. They only have a few 100,000. The largest one, the Libertarian Party, have 650,000 members. We have that in some states with black people.
Yeah.
We get our millions, our 30 million together, and I guarantee you, with the right leadership, we're going to effectuate change. We don't have to win. All we got to do is say we're not voting for any party until y'all bring us to the bargaining table for real. This is our platform. This is the way that you easily change the police departments. This is the way that you easily change these situations of workplace discrimination. We come with a platform.
Yeah.
And that platform, when it's adopted seriously by any one of those parties initially, that's the party we vote for in that election alone. We don't sell our black vote to any of these parties eternally. Every election, they're going to have an opportunity to pick up the black, Latino, and the brown plight.
Yeah.
And the party and the leader who does that will get our vote, you know? But it's time for us to stop prostituting our vote.
Yeah.
Where they paying certain leaders and giving them certain benefits, bikes and shoes and watches.
Yeah.
You know, there's some Judases selling out our people for 30 pieces of silver. Go back home with that. We don't need that right now. You know? We need these people to hear us.
Yeah.
And they only gonna hear us if we touch their pockets.
Yeah.
And when we touch that voting booth.
Yeah.
You know? So politically we do that. And you have my word, prophetically, that the first few elections we not gonna win. But when even their people see the justice we gonna operate in, especially the generation that's to come,
All right.
they will begin to vote our party in as senators and representatives. And eventually, we're going to get a president if Yahweh seeks to do it that way before his return.
Yeah. All right. That's some good stuff. For George and all of those other people, innocent, unarmed, men and women.
My prayers go out to George Floyd's family in such a sincere way. I am so sorry for your pain, and so sorry that we are not organized and unified in such a degree that we couldn't stop this from occurring. But you have my word that in the days to come, his blood and the blood of all those others who've died will not be in vain. These are our martyrs. They have died to make us one, and we will be one, and we will honor them forever. We will put plaques up in their name. We will honor them forever, because it's their blood spilled on the ground that gave rise to a movement. You see, we love y'all, praying for y'all. And if y'all need anything, counsel, comfort, even resources, reach out. The black leaders are with you.